There. We got a nice little crew here tonight. Welcome, folks. I hope you're all doing really well. This is something we're going to try over the next little while, weekly, bi-weekly, maybe a couple of times a month, who knows. But when we decided to do it, this was the person that we wanted to start with because Ellie, of course, has been in the news lately, and her story is one that I think touches all of us in the sense that we know her and we love her, and she's part of the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame family. And we know that she's trained so hard for what was going to take place in July, but has now since been postponed. So, Ellie, first of all, let's start with just how you're doing, how you're feeling with the news that came out, I guess, a few days back.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I think it was a lot of information over a short period of time. Everything, not even before the Olympic announcement came out. I think for everybody, this was a change in our daily lives and environment, and a change in training. And then to hear that Team Canada wasn't going to send a team if the Olympics were going to be in July of 2020. That was, I think it was a good choice, and it was the right choice. And I agreed with that. And because, I think I was really proud of Canada for stepping up and being a leader in that sense of putting our communities and our families and our country and the people in general, at the top of the priority list of keeping people healthy and safe. And then, hearing the information that, okay, it will be postponed, I was really relieved and happy about, just because I was scared that it may end up just being canceled. And that was something that I think would be really devastating for a lot of the athletes. But hearing that it was going to be postponed, like we heard that basically overnight, your mindset changes from I'm training for the Olympics that's coming up in 3-4 months to, okay, the Olympics aren't going to be happening in July. When will they be happening? And then eventually finding out the dates of, okay, the Olympics are going to be in 16 months from now. So just the change in mindset, a lot of emotions over those couple days. But, I think everything kind of is going to work out, and we have a positive mindset, and it's just kind of about readjusting goals. But especially for the athletes, I think it was a lot of relief in that sense, because not everyone's able to train. Everyone's trying to stay home. We're trying to stay safe, keep our community safe, and, having that thought that maybe the Olympics are still going to happen in a few months from now, that's scary. And we feel like that we have to still kind of be at our best and our top shape through this uncertain time and through what is not going to be normal training. So I think a lot of us as athletes, we were relieved to hear that. It does change a lot of plans, but I know that it's going to be positive, and we'll be able to get back to training when it's safe to do so and back to competing, and we'll just readjust the plan from there.
You mentioned that training is no longer normal. What does abnormal training look like for you right now?
Yeah, so I mean, really what we're trying to do is stay at home as much as possible, social distance, self-isolate, that kind of stuff. And so not being able to go to, the sports center, the workout gym, the gymnastics gym, we're trying to stay as fit as possible and as healthy as possible. So doing a lot of home workouts. Our national team, we've been doing some of these Zoom meetings actually to check in. We've been doing like mental performance check-ins. We just started this week to do some like performance conditioning, strength training through the Zoom or the like FaceTime. So, we're trying to find ways to kind of keep up what's more of a normal, regular routine, but just adjusting it from home. So making do with the space and the equipment that we have at home. I did an Instagram live workout for any gymnasts or any people who wanted to watch on the weekend, and that was really fun for me. I think it's about finding different ways to make it fun, keep it creative, and then just getting outside as much as we possibly can, even if we can't go to the parks. I've been taking my dogs out for walks around my neighborhood, so that is nice in a sense to just have make it a little bit normal, but it's really not normal times.
This was the night we were going to have our Women on Top of the World Gala at the Halifax Convention Center. You were going to play a big part in that. And so was Haley Wickenheiser. And it's interesting because she's now studying to be an emergency room physician. And it was a tweet by her. I'm sure you know this story. It was a tweet by her that it kind of got the ball rolling on Canada extricating itself from the Olympics. Were you familiar with how she got involved?
I don't know the exact tweet.
You don't? No, it was
I
an
don't
amazing
know.
thing because at first, she was one of this emergency room team that were treating, and they thought maybe the whole thing was being overblown. But as she saw people come in, she sent out a tweet that said, "Look, I'm a former athlete, and I care about everybody who's going to go to these games, and this is way more serious than any of us thought." So there's a great Canadian athlete who did turning out to be a great thing for Canadian athletes. She's pretty special. Have you met her, by the way?
I actually haven't. No. So hopefully one day.
Well, hopefully a year from now or so, right?
Exactly.
When we do the event again. As the news started to trickle in, Ellie, I'm sure at first you thought to yourself, "Well, this will still go on. The Olympics are too big to cancel." But could you sense the snowball rolling down the hill and a possible postponement on the horizon?
Yeah, because for sure, like I was still competing at the beginning of March. We were at a training camp all together in Montreal. Things were starting to change in a sense, but it hadn't changed all that much. And then all of a sudden, you're thinking, okay, there'll be small changes. The Olympics is still going to happen. There's no way they can change that. Um, and then things started to really change, like kind of overnight and really fast. And I think we began to see that different sports were being canceled, lots of events were being canceled, certain competitions ended up starting to be canceled. And, we were just kind of waiting to see what the future was going to hold. There were still some competitions that I was supposed to attend to and compete in. And I was unsure whether those were going to still happen or not. So I was kind of sitting around waiting, seeing that things were being canceled. And then there was a point where I think I realized that, okay, there's no way these competitions, like I was supposed to go to a World Cup, and then we have our nationals and those things, and everything else around them were being canceled. I was like, there's no way that those are still going to go on at this moment in this time with how this is progressing. And then you kind of start to think about, okay, months from now, it's hard to know in this time that no one knows really what's going on, and you have to kind of make your best decisions and best guesses. But looking at other countries and how this has progressed in those countries, I think we had a good idea of, okay, this is what Canada's at right now. This is where we're working towards. We're trying to flatten this curve, and to do so, these are the things that we need to do. So canceling a lot of these things, I think there was a certain point that you realize that the Olympics realistically couldn't happen this summer, with all of this going on, unless everything changed drastically. Like it wasn't going to happen. And that's kind of like a hard thing to swallow, because yeah, you don't want it to get canceled. They've never really postponed an Olympics before. So we hope that that was a possibility, an idea, but then again, it's never happened before. So I was worried about it being canceled, and then people losing that opportunity, if it was their only shot this time around, not being able to wait 4 years to go to another one. So you know 1 year is still a lot of time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. And I think it still gives these athletes something to work towards, something at the end of this that can kind of bring the world back together in a positive way.
I wonder about these Zoom meetings. You've been to two Olympics, and you're without doubt a major leader now on the Canadian national gymnastics team. When these comparative kids to you now are so upset at missing this chance in July in Tokyo, what's your advice been to them in terms of sort of patience and looking down the road a bit?
I think it is important to acknowledge your feelings, because in a sense, we're all going to be upset. We're all going to have different feelings towards it. I have a lot of experience going through not ideal preparations and ups and downs and changes overnight. Not really to this extent, but I have confidence in myself and my team around me that we're going to be able to handle that and work through it. And so really just trying to tell the other girls and our teammates and whoever really needs to hear it, and myself, is you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to have these feelings of disappointment, because it is disappointing. But as well, you don't want to get too stressed out by it in this moment, and you don't want to let that overcome everything. You need to focus on the things that you can control right now, because there are a lot of things that are out of our control, and it is stressful, but we just kind of have to wait and see, and we will create a plan. And there are a lot of things that need to be adjusted down the road and along the road. But, since we don't have those answers yet, it's fine to think about, but you can't start making these major changes and getting yourself too frustrated or upset about those things that we really can't control yet. So I think it's just taking the time to process, but as well, just like making your peace with what is happening right now, because there's a lot of things that, not only for the athletes, but for people across the world, this is affecting a lot of things, and everyone's kind of going to have to process their own way and adjust their lives and their, I guess, years, this whole year that's coming up. So I think it's just kind of taking one thing a step at a time, and still right now trying to do the things that you enjoy, and not kind of like giving up on the process or the dream. That's still there. The journey has just extended a little bit, and it will change a little bit, but still knowing what those goals and dreams are, and then we can adjust to work towards those.
You had a pretty serious ankle injury a few months back that required surgery. It was pretty well publicized, and you've been making your comeback since. What kind of percentage are you right now physically?
I would say that I'm like 80, 90% back off of my ankle. I'm pretty much able, like before all of this happened, I was pretty much able to start competing on all 4 events. The ankle still has a little bit of healing left to go. But that's just kind of one of the things that just takes time as we move forward. Like I did get some hardware put in my ankle, so the body has to adjust to that, especially when I'm getting back to the high level of skills that I was doing before. So, I think the process of recovery and the rehab, all of that has just gone amazingly. And we're still working on that as we go now. And in a sense, it is actually nice that I have a little bit more time to be able to rest the ankle and work on the recovery and not have to rush it too much to try and get ready for the summer, like before. And I mean, that was part of the plan, and I do believe that would have gone fine, but it is nice to have a little bit of extra time to know that you can give that extra little bit of rehab towards the ankle and not stress it too soon if it's not ready. But I'm happy where it's been, and I think it'll only just get stronger throughout the time to come.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds kind of glib to look for a silver lining in a pandemic, but
Yeah.
for you as an athlete, right? Maybe another year for you allows you to be closer to peak form, maybe?
Yeah. I talked to my coach about this, because it's a big change in the plan and the process. And, for him, he really is always very positive about things, and things that are out of our control. You make the best with what you can do and what you can control, and you can't focus on the rest. So for us, it was kind of a easy change of mindset, in the sense of physically preparing for the games. To have a little bit of the longer extended time coming off of an injury, that should allow me to heal back stronger, and have time to maybe even be at a stronger physical state for the Olympics next year. But as well, maybe I'm able to add some difficulty into my routines and actually increase my gymnastics level a bit more than what it could have been this summer, just because of the time that we had. So now that it's longer, I might actually be able to increase the level of my gymnastics for next year. But a lot of this is also going to depend on, what they decide to move forward with the new code, and if the rules are going to all stay the same next year. But I think we're just, it's kind of, there is a little bit of a silver lining in a sense. And I think you have to look for those too, or find things to be positive about in these times. And so for me, I'm just glad that, this gives me and our team, I think, a little bit more time to hopefully be even better than we would have been this summer.
Yeah. I want to change the subject and also encourage everybody who's on our meeting here tonight. If you want to ask a question, Ellie, we're going to save the last 5 minutes for that. But I saw a picture of you at a recent meet at the Gymnastics Club in Halifax, and you weren't competing. You were there kind of in an ambassador role, and you were surrounded by, I'm going to say, 200 to 300 kids. And it looked to me like every one of those kids was going to get their autograph and their picture and their handshake back in the days when we could actually shake
Shake
hands
hands.
a few weeks back. Why is that important to you to be that person for those kids?
I think it's something really special. And especially for me, being from Halifax, being the first female gymnast from Nova Scotia to go to the Olympics, the first female gymnast to make the senior category, even in gymnastics. I think it's important for me that, I was still able to train here, to live at home. I didn't have to leave to reach that level and accomplish those goals. And it's something special, I think, to be able to see your role model or someone that you look up to in your sport or in your life in person and see that they're just like a normal human like you are. I think that really hits home when you see that and you meet them and you're like, oh, like you can relate and you can be like, wow, like I'm also from Halifax, or I'm from a small city, or I'm from a small town and I have these dreams. I think that's going to, like, I can make that a reality. And so for me, it's important to be able to take the time with the younger athletes and the younger girls and boys, and just to kind of be able to give back in that sense. And it's something so small, but it can make a huge change for someone. And so, whenever I have the time to do it, especially when it's at our home club and we're hosting, they've done a lot for me, and I'm really thankful to be from Alta and be from Halifax. And so I want to still promote that and give back in that sense to the community. But it's so special. It's funny, like in the lineup of kids who are lining up to get their backpack signed, their water bottle signed, like their scorecard signed. So many of them actually are all also from Alta. And I'm like, you could come any day of the week and come say hi to me and get me to sign it. But, like I think to me, it's just normal that I train with everyone at my club. But, sometimes I think I forget that, for these young ones, it's definitely pretty cool, I think, and an awesome experience to be able to train at the same club at the same time on the same rotation, using the same bars as one of your idols or someone you look up to. And that's really special. And yeah, just to see that I'm just like them. This is where I started. This is how I got to where I am, and hopefully they can do the same.
Look, I know you're still young, but when you were really young, did you have somebody that was like that for you, whether it was a gymnast or somebody else in your life who you looked at and said, wouldn't mind being like that someday?
Yeah, like I think there were a lot of gymnasts that I look up to, and I didn't get to meet a lot of them when I was younger, just being from here and having some idols around the world in gymnastics. They weren't gonna have Halifax as their highest place to visit.
Priority. Yeah.
But yeah, but actually, like my coach now, David, he trained at Alta and he went to the Olympics. And seeing him train at my club and seeing that level, I think that was really inspiring for me. And then as well, Crystal Gilmore, she was someone, a Canadian gymnast who had a very similar style of gymnastics to me. And then she started training a little bit out of Nova Scotia as well. So I think those things were really inspiring to have those like Canadian role models. And then there were many other gymnasts that eventually, when I started going to the national championships and all of these bigger competitions, I actually got to see them compete, meet them. And, I think that was really cool for me because you watch them on YouTube, you watch them on TV. But then being able to see that in person and meet them, I think that was really cool. So like I had a lot, and not only in gymnastics, but other sports as well. Like I used to do figure skating and I loved all the figure skaters. I still follow them. But yeah, in many other sports, but definitely in gymnastics for sure.
You know what? By any metric you want to pick, you are the greatest gymnast in the history of this country. By any metric. What's it like for you to sit and hear people say that?
It's like crazy. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm just
yes.
a gymnast doing my thing. Uh, but like, I think it's a very special platform that I have right now. And I honestly, like, I just started gymnastics because I like gymnastics, and I had these dreams and these goals, and the plan definitely didn't go accordingly. But eventually we found our way to get there. And I think for me, it was like the passion and the love, and it still is. I just love it so much, and I want to try and be the best person, but as well the best athlete I can be. And so that's just what drives my training. And I have these sport goals, but I think for me it's not always about winning the medals. It's just doing the gymnastics, performing it the way I want, learning the skills that I'm excited to learn, and kind of reaching that level. I think just came with that. And yeah, I've had like amazing success over many years. I've also had many failures, many competitions that didn't go the way I would like them to go. But I think that's also important, because you have to get back up and you learn from those experiences, and those make you stronger. So, I think it's definitely special to hear that I've made an impact on gymnastics in Nova Scotia, but as well across Canada. And I think that's something that I'm really proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of. And that's something that I also want to continue to support, even eventually when I'm done gymnastics. It's such a big part of my life. So, I want everyone to have the opportunities to live out their dreams and do the things they love, and just to, I don't know, just have those experiences.
Yeah, and that legacy very much still being written. So resume's not done yet, obviously. I want to ask you one last thing. We got about 6 minutes left, okay? And I think we've got to end it before that, or we could get cut off. This is the first time trying this, so that's my best guess. So you're not a member of the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame yet, but when I think of who's coming down the road, I think you and Crosby are the two most no-brainer somewhere down the road once you're retired and have been retired for a few years. So put yourself in a position, say a little kid, especially a little girl, comes into the Hall of Fame someday and looks up at your plaque and your bio and maybe a singlet from competition and your medals. What's the part of your story that you'd love that little girl to know above everything else?
I think it's cliche because I always say it and I always feel it, but honestly, it's just showing what we can do from Nova Scotia and from being from Halifax. And like, especially because I was not very good when I started. It wasn't like, I had some talent. I was strong and powerful, and but that's not really the typical gymnast always, and no flexibility whatsoever, terrible on certain events. And it just took me a long time to get there. But I think for me, the part of the story was that, I was from Halifax. I am from Halifax. I trained here. I didn't have to move somewhere else just to feel like I had to reach that level. And with the team that I have here, which is such an incredible team, and we have so many athletes that come from this amazing province. I think the big thing for me is just showing that, when they come in and they see that, they're like, yes, like no matter where I'm from, no matter the goals and dreams I have, if I work hard, that's a possibility. And who says I can't do that? And so that's a big thing for me. And then, just breaking down those barriers. Like, people always think or have thought in gymnastics, like the Canadian gymnasts, like we're so far away from breaking into those top countries in the world. And I think it's just having the confidence and knowing that, even if it hasn't been done, you can do it. Who's to say you can't? I think that's the biggest thing. So just showing that, there's always going to be people who are ahead, but who says you can't get there? Who says you can't reach them? You just have to work hard and achieve that. So, and I think as well, just enjoying what you're doing, and just not like, I don't know, I don't want to say not taking it seriously, because I take gymnastics really seriously, but I think to a certain extent, you just have to enjoy what you're doing, and that will come out in whatever it is, in your results or your passion for it. I think that's really important.
I was going to say it clearly boils down to passion for you, which is a phenomenal starting point. So listen, we're gonna wrap it up there. For everybody who took the time to dial us in tonight, You don't dial us in, do you? I'm not sure about this technology. Anyway, for everybody who took the time, thank you. If you have somebody you'd like us to feature on a future episode, we got to give these a name now, by the way. But Ellie, thank you. You were the guest we wanted out of the gate for obvious reasons. Your message is great, and everybody on this meeting tonight wishes you nothing but the best in the months ahead. We hope you get to Tokyo in 2021, and the Olympic Games are back, and you can shine on the international stage. And best of luck. Feel great, and thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and hopefully this is great. Everyone stay safe, stay home, and we'll get through this together.
Yes, indeed. We got one in the can, folks. So get in touch with us at the Hall of Fame if you can think of anybody else you'd like us to feature in kind of these midweek one-on-one conversations. Hopefully a good diversion for you. As Ellie said, stay safe, and we'll see you next time we do one, okay? Thanks again.